What's up, y'all? Yeah, it's me. I don't have a good intro for this, but this is the SHFiguarts Guts Berserker Armor. It says right there. Yeah, I had a previous copy of this figure, and it destroyed itself. So I'm hoping that my replacement one doesn't fall apart like the other one did. But anyway, here's the front of the box. You know, premium Bandai, all the stickers. Side right here, good shot of Guts. The back, you have all the information and different images about the product, more just text down there. Other side of the box here, got the top like that, and then the bottom, which is like every SHFiguarts box. This is a relatively tall box. It goes past my the little setup here, so that's just great. Yeah, we're gonna get straight into it, and yeah, pretty much that's it. So this has the newer style of Figuarts where the instructions are on the inside wings there. So I will be opening both sides of this to show that off. Oh, okay. So this would be hard to take out. We're going to start like this. We're going to take Guts out here. And then this has the card in the back. Has a nice little Behelit background. See that? And it also comes with a card for Nosferatu Zod. Another upcoming figure, nothing on the back, just showing that off. And it's going to be kind of hard to get these flaps out. I don't want to damage the box too much. There we go. So you get more information about everything that comes in the packaging here. I'm gonna close that back up though. Yeah. Alright, that's as good as I can get it for now. Yeah, we have all the card backgrounds, but we're not gonna focus on that right now. So what everything looks like in the plastic. On the back here, we do have Guts' cape. So we're gonna remove that. Listen carefully. Careful there. All right, get the cape out. And now we have the actual figure itself right here. So I am gonna reframe a little bit. Get a little bit of a downwards angle. There we go. All right, so now to show off everything that we have, we take the box out. It comes with a green Behelit. Let's see if we can refocus there. It has pretty nice detail. You know, it has the eyes, the lips, and the mouth. See all that? Pretty just simple. It's a simple, solid piece of plastic. You get a knife that goes on his belt. Though, if anyone knows anything about this figure, this knife does not ever stay on. So I will just not be putting it on the figure because it's just going to fall off a ton. Next thing you get, obviously, is the Dragon Slayer sword. Iconic piece of Berserk right here. Though I will say the sword is a little bit overscaled for this figure. It's not at the right scale. It doesn't look exactly correct. But that's all fine and dandy. That's fine. It still works. It does its purpose. You know. You get the little crossbow attachment that goes in the bag that's on his back. This is just for the extra detail in there. The crossbow arm itself, which is hinged here on the part that he grabs onto, and it's also hinged at the back, so you can attach the hand a lot easier. And then he gets another forearm for the cannon arm, which, as you know, if you've read or seen the anime, he uses, you know, in the newer one. And it just flips down, reveals the cannon there. And then he has two extra faces. The screaming face, which I think looks great. I think this figure does do Guts a lot of justice. I saw people complaining with proportions and the looks of the figure, but I think it really captures the look of Guts, especially from the manga. Then this is the teeth gritting face. Looks great with that one eye closed and the white in the hair, everything there. All the details are perfectly there. And everything else is just hands. We get one fist and one sword holding hand for the right hand, and for the left hand you get two gripping hands. One of them is for this attachment specifically, the other one is for the sword. Anyways, we'll look at those in a second. Let's first get the figure out here. And all right, already looking way better. My last copy of the figure had a very tight ankle, and that's actually what broke. Another piece broke was the satchel in the back, and also the butt plate that you know is present on all the figures. But from what I'm seeing, this looks great. You know, the detail is perfectly there. You have the little kind of guard piece that this is removable as well. And that's how I primarily display my guts. I have them with the cape and without this piece on. But if you want to have it there, you can. It's a great detail, you know, part of the character design. We do have this plastic inside of his torso to protect it because there's a rubber piece there and it can get scuffed. We're just going to remove that. All right. And so just looking at the detail to start off with, I mean, if you look at his face, that screams Guts to me. I think that looks exactly like Guts. I think it looks great. He has the printed detail on the back of the sacrificial mark. I don't know exactly I don't remember the exact name for it, so I just call it the mark of the sacrifice. You know, I think the armor detailing looks great. It does look a little bit weathered. It looks great on camera, I can say. In person, it looks a little bit cheap, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, some of it doesn't look as nice quality. But all the paint, all the paint is there and it looks great. Like, all the belt buckles and all the brown pieces, obviously, are painted perfectly. And his face especially, I think, has the best detail here. It just really captures that look that Guts has, that stern expression. Yeah, let's see. He can stand up pretty well, relatively. So now let's take a look at the cape here. Get this out of the bag. So this is the cape. It's a kind of thick cloth material, kind of papery almost, and a lot of people don't like it. I think it's fine, and I think it does its purpose, and I think it looks fine too. The feeling in hand doesn't really matter because you're going to be displaying this figure on a shelf. You're not going to be touching it all the time. I mean, and even if you are, it's just about what it looks like, really, right? So I think what they did here was perfectly fine. As you can see, there is a few wires. There's one big wire running throughout the edge of the cape here, and there's two wires right where my fingers are. You can see that there. That's technically one wire, but you can use that to bend and pose the cape as you will. To apply the cape onto the figure, you have to take off the face. And what I find easier is to also take off the back hair if it comes off. My last figure, it did. This one isn't going to come off. I'm not going to try to force it. So you just slide the cape over his head, and you have to kind of force this piece onto the little buckle there. So we'll move his head forwards. And we're going to try to just slide that over. There's a little clip on his chest, if you see that. I'm going to just try to slide this right over there. And it fits on pretty nicely. Everything works. If I can get it on there. It just takes a little bit of trial and error, but you know, you get it on there eventually. And you can kind of pull it and try to make it apply better. I'll mess around with it more at some point. I have pictures that I will be inserting throughout the length of the video of the older figure that I had, which will have the exact same articulation, and it's going to look the exact same. But yeah, put the head back on, and I think he looks absolutely great with the cape and all of his detailing on. If you look at the gun arm, I think this has a good look of metal onto it. Like, I think it kind of recreates that metal, like gunmetal look that it's supposed to have. The armor does, like I said, look a little cheaper and less a little bit like metal. They could have done a little bit better on the detailing. I think the Heat of Passion version did the armor a lot better. But I also know what they're going for this, so I'm not really going to complain too much. I think this looks great. The articulation is a little bit lacking from the waist down. Waist up, I think it has pretty good articulation for what you're going to get with a figure of this kind of style with all this armor. But the waist down is a little bit lacking. They did improve on it in the, like I said, the Heat of Passion version, the full armor version. I wish we could have got that same articulation, but it's a little bit fair to see why, because all of the belts and buckles and all these like bags. You can remove the bags, but I'm scared to because this back one here I took off on my old one and it broke. The little satchel piece broke. And so I don't feel like taking that off. So I'm not going to. I'm not going to take any of the pieces off. But anyways, let's get straight into the articulation. So the head, actually, I guess I could take the cape off for this. One sec there. All right. Articulation fully unobstructed. The head can tilt pretty well. Can look side to side though. This is a common issue I guess I'm finding is the head joint is very, very tight. But I'm not worried about it breaking tight. It's just very tight. So be aware that if you decide to pick this one up, looks up about that much, down about that much, assisted with the neck. The neck has the same kind of joints that the head does. The arms, they are on this kind of, I don't know if it's like really Figma or BuzzMod, one of those other companies. It's this kind of joint style where they cut into the bicep. But they can go up, you know, about that far without, you know, forcing it too much. And they have the butterfly joints, which you can pull out to get a little bit more movement. If you see that there, comes out and you push it back into the body. But the, you know, full rotation there with the arms looks great. These armor pieces are on hinges, and you can see like these come out. I'm not gonna take them out, but you know, they're all just pegged into each other. You know, you got the bicep swivel. Looks pretty good. You know, you get some decent range of motion there. It's a little bit hindered by the armor pieces, but that's a point. Now the elbow piece, looks a little more off on camera, but the previous version of the figure I had, this was a very different color. This one, it's a lot closer match, so I think it just might be figure to figure what happens there. But this is as far as the elbow is going to go in, all that way, so a little past 90. And then, you know, basic Figuarts wrist peg. Now, this is the re-release of the figure, so it should have better wrist pegs. I didn't really notice much of an improvement with the sword holding hand, and the other hands are just really hard to get into the figure in general. But that could be different for this one, so I don't know, I guess we'll see. This arm has slightly different articulation limits due to the sculpting of this arm. This one can go about that high up. You also get an extra joint here due to the fact that this piece is removable. And the same Figuarts normal style wrist peg. Now the ab crunch, you can get about that far forward and that far back. You can get good tilt, and of course he swivels on everything because it's just ball joints. Now we get to the problem articulation, and this is the stuff that just, it's a little bit sad. That's how far forwards I can get him to kick, being comfortable. And if you want to having the leg straight, you can get him to kick out that far. If you rotate the leg a little bit higher, but it doesn't change very much there. You have a nice thigh cut, which is hidden by the armor pieces. And the thing I like to do with this one to get this to go out further is you put the armor over that little bag piece, because otherwise it's not going to go up very high. Like, you're limited to that. So you kind of have to move the armor around on that thigh cut. And so what I like to do is I like to cover that bag piece with the armor, and you get a little bit of a higher sideways kick there. Normal 3.0 figure art joints. Yeah, you have the thigh cut there. Double jointed knees, kick past 90, about that far. Ankles, there is two joints. You have the one that it's currently on, and then you have this swivel joint here. So nice there. And it has a pretty good ankle rocker with a, this is a stiffer toe joints, but with a toe joint that goes back and forth. And that articulation is pretty similar on the other leg. Kicks up about that high. Can't go out very much though, due to those satchels and pieces there. If you want to try to remove them, you can, but I really don't recommend it because it could break this back part of the figure, which is what happened to my last one. This piece here broke off and it ruined the entire thing. But yeah, the articulation on the rest of the leg is entirely the same. Besides that, how much you can get it to kick up and how much you can get it to go out. Those are the different points there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at everything else, on the figure. So this piece just goes straight into that bag there, and you don't really touch it after that. See the way the notch is? Go like that. And, oh, this one has a nice click. So it kind of holds in a little bit nicer. And then that just sits in the back there. This piece, I don't really feel like putting the hand in right now, but I will. I'll cut to that. But as you can see, the way these arms work, you just pop this out and you pop this in on the peg, and boom, now you have the next arm attached. Guts uses these arms all kinds of different occasions in the show. Especially you can see him equip this after fighting demons in the mansion in like the 4th episode or something. I don't know. The newer show isn't as good, so I don't know how much I recommend it. But the older one is great. The original 1997 is a great show. But yeah, we can see Guts take the faces off, replace them. We have the screaming face. Now, this is a problem I found on the first one. These faces are a little bit hard to get on. But once they're on, they look great. And you can really see the anger that Guts will have. And if you can get the Dragon Slayer in his hand, and you can get him like swinging it and posing it, like I have, shown here, then it just looks awesome. The expressions he has, I think just the 3 are perfect. It really just describes Guts as a character. You don't really need anything else other than like the calm and the gritting teeth and the screaming. I think those are the perfect 3 head sculpts. I mean, they could have included more, but I really don't think they needed to. I mean, what if they wanted to? They could have included like a blood splatter head sculpt. That would have been cool. See, look, this is the problem I'm having. These head sculpts are very hard to get on at first, and they don't really change. They always are really difficult. I'm not even going to bother with this one right now because I don't feel like going through that struggle. But you can probably imagine what he would look like with this on. I'll show some pictures where I have it there too. But yeah, no, Guts looks absolutely great. I think the sculpting is the biggest plus about this figure. Oh, I think I forgot to show off the butterfly joints. They can kind of get about that far if you really squeeze them, but they don't cross perfectly. But you can, if you pull out the butterfly joints like I'm doing, you can get a lot more movement, as you can see there, and you can get him to grab that sword above his shoulder, do all kinds of stuff like that. And yeah, like I said before, I will be periodically throughout the video showing photos of the different poses that I've had him in before. But yeah, if you want to just put the sword in his hand, you take, well, that's one thing I dropped. I dropped the little piece that goes there. I got that back. So I guess this one is not as snug as a fit, even though it seems pretty tight in there. But yeah, you just take the hand out and you grab the sword holding hand, and you should just be able to peg it right in there. Now, I am predicting, like I had before, a problem getting this hand in. Though I think the tighter the grip for putting the hand in, the tighter grip it'll have on the peg when posing it. And it seems that this peg actually is a tighter grip. Like this joint is tighter than it was on my last figure. So that actually might benefit me here. Take the Dragon Slayer. There is a little bit of a glue issue, I think, on mine. That's perfectly fine, though. I don't really care that much. Put the hand, take the pommel of the sword off, and you just kind of stick it in that hand. It's a little bit of a tight fit at first. It's going to take a minute to get in there. Once you do, it's a nice snug fit. See, he's holding the sword just right. And now these wrist pegs are a little bit weaker. They could be a little stronger, but these actually seem pretty fine to me. I'd have to put it in a position where it would struggle. But this is actually seeming to hold this. I mean, after a certain point, it drops it. But if you get it like that, it seems to be holding the sword perfectly fine. And see, now you can do things like this and get him into a pose where he's holding his sword and he's standing. You know, get him to stand while holding the sword. I'm not great at posing on the fly, but like I said, I'll insert images where I have him posed up, looking great. Yeah, you can have him kind of standing, holding his sword on his shoulder, like he does in the show, obviously. And obviously, the figure, I think my preferred look is him with the cape on, but it's a little hard to do that 24/7. So I'm just gonna kind of show him off like this. But yeah, like he looks great, and I think this is, I don't know if it's exactly worth the $90. Especially because it still has some of those QC issues that the original had. Like with the wrists, they're tighter, but you can see that they're coming out. Like it's gonna pop out. And that's an issue I had before previously. The wrists do just kind of come out on the figure. It's not great, and I wish they could have improved that a little bit better by using the same kind of wrist joints. See, like that came out very easily. But I wish they could have improved it a little bit by using the same kind of wrist joints that they used on the updated figure, the Heat of Passion armor, or I guess it's the same armor, but the full Berserk armor. I wish they could have updated that a little bit, but it's fine, you know. That's very tight. Like, but if you see here, the cape looks great, and you can pose this all you want to be blowing in the wind, and you'll see that in the posing segment. Not really segment, but the posing throughout the video too. You'll see the use of the cape there. Yeah, even then, like the cape doesn't really hinder the articulation too much, especially because, like I said, you can fully pose it, so you can have it like he's flying in. If you want to have him jumping down from somewhere, it's kind of hard to get him in a jumping like pose or like a flying pose, but I guess this would be like the closest thing you can get. You put that sword in his hand, and he just looks awesome. There's no denying that Guts is a sick looking figure, no matter the flaws. Like if you just want to have it posed one way on your shelf, like say you put the other sword holding hand in there and you hold it, like you could have him posed up like he's jumping into a battle, and he looks awesome. And you can really do whatever you want with the cape, have it flying. I'll show you the pose that I have that's a little better than this, or I have him more like that. But this figure, it's for what it is, even for being not as posable as some Figuarts figures due to the armor, it still has great posing, and I think it looks absolutely magnificent. Like just the way he looks when you put the cape and you put all the details on him, he just looks awesome. Like this just screams Guts to me. I don't know what it is, but I think it looks great. Some people have problems with it. I think it's a great looking figure. Yeah, let me show off the cannon arm too while I'm at it. Here you go. And you just kind of pegs on just like the other one. Boom, now he has the cannon on his arm, as you can see there. And yeah, it works, or it looks like how it does in the show, where his hand flips down, reveals the cannon, and he's able to just, you know, shoot people with it, which is kind of how that works. I personally am going to be displaying him on my shelf with a flight stand, which, you know, you can see in the examples that I have. But, you know, I think it just really depends on how lucky you get with your QC. Like my wrist joints on this one are a lot tighter, and so they hold the sword a lot better. And so he can kind of hold a pose where he's really holding the sword forward in front of him if the hand doesn't fall off. That is still a very annoying issue that I don't know if they're going to ever, you know, do anything about, especially because this is already a re-release. But like you can get them, depending on how you pose them, in certain really cool positions. But yeah, pretty much that's gonna mostly conclude my review of the Guts Berserk Armor, I guess Berserker Armor, SHFiguarts review. If y'all enjoyed it, obviously like, subscribe, and let me know if you want to see any other figures. Goodbye.